Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and Droids, to today's video where we got 4 major topics to talk about today that the developers broke down. We're getting our first teasers in regards to the kit of Galactic Legends, Sith Eternal Emperor Palpatine, and Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. We have some insight on the Galactic Challenges changes. They're going to be implementing the rewards as well as the timing structure. They're starting to look into ways to making the beginning end of the game and the free-to-play experience less daunting because of all the crazy legendaries and the amount of characters you have to farm. And they give us a little hint that there's something huge coming up in the month of November. And all this was from the Galactic War Report. The developers did a little interview on the Galactic War Report. I was expecting them to post something on the forums because this was kind of like a mini State of the Galaxy address. A lot of important information. I want to make sure you guys know about it. It's in this podcast. I'll leave a link down below in the video description if you want to listen to the whole entire thing. But I'm going to make sure you get the short and sweet and the core of it so you guys know what's going on in the Galaxy of Heroes universe. So let's get into it and talk about the first main thing I want to get into, the new Galactic Legends. So far, we don't have the kit reveal, but at this point, we have basically 66% of the requirements for Luke as well as Palpatine, waiting on the last batch, but we have not had a kit reveal just yet, and the developers finally gave a little bit of teasers in regards to what the Galactic Legends are going to be looking like in terms of their overall kit design. Let's play a little clip and we'll get back to it.
Both Sith Eternal Emperor and Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, the designers have really nailed the feel of those characters. Sith Eternal Emperor is really, he's about deception. He's about getting behind the lines and sort of like messing with you indirectly while also sort of like hiding away himself. So like there's a lot of cool like tricks he can do. He's very much around like manipulating the battlefield in a way that's like, I think it's a lot of new effects that we've sort of added into his kit. There's like a bunch of different ways to sort of force players to do different things and all sorts of stuff. I think like he's really good at sort of like getting that manipulation across. Really gets across in his character as well. For Luke, you know, he's gotten a lot older, right? Like we've had several Lukes in the game, obviously, and like he's kind of a teacher, right? He's very good at like enabling his allies. You know, I should say that both of these characters are going to be broader characters like Rey and Kylo were. Like they work obviously with specific faction, but they will have specific light side synergies and dark side synergies as well. So it's not like you can only run this group of characters with them, but obviously Luke is going to pair very well with like folks like Jedi and things like that, and be able to sort of like buff up his team in a variety of ways and really enable like give the rest of his allies a lot of knowledge around how to beat the Sith and whatnot.
So we've been talking about what tags that these characters going to have. We didn't get much insight in regards to the tags for Palpatine. I think we can assume there's going to be a Sith tag at the minimum, but we got confirmation that Luke will have indeed a Jedi tag in case you were curious about that. We don't know if there's going to be secondary tags like a Resistance tag, for example, for Luke, but we did get information in regards to Luke being more of passing on his wisdom throughout the whole entire team, whereas Palpatine is going to be more manipulative and corrupting the opposing enemies. And they also went on a tangent how Palpatine is going to be kind of more in the background, controlling things from a distance. That's how Palpatine orchestrated the Clone Wars, for example, the Galactic Civil War, and apparently he was kind of orchestrating the whole conflict between the First Order and the Resistance. He was every thought that's been inside your mind. I see probably Palpatine being like an ultimate support character. That's what it sounds like, whereas Rey and Kyle have been attackers, and maybe Luke as well will be a support character of some sort. However, they have said that Luke is going to still be able to dish out a good amount of damage. And now this part, I wasn't sure what they were getting at. I'm not sure if they were alluding to the ultimate ability for these Galactic Legends, but they talked about both of them transforming into something terrifying.
But I think the big part of both these characters is their transformation, and I think like that's the moment where you'll really see these characters as like terrifying threats. I think they're very powerful without the transformations. I don't want to say like that's the goal you have to shoot, otherwise you can't win. But when they like transform, you're like, oh no, this has gone very badly.
So I don't know if maybe they're referring to how like Palpatine transformed when he got some of the energy from the Force dyad between Rey and Kylo, and maybe Luke's ultimate is transforming into what we saw in The Last Jedi, where he kind of had a little final showdown with Kylo, able to take on the bombardment coming from his First Order units. And very much so like Rey and Kylo, they're both going to still have very broad light side synergies as well as dark side synergies, as well as we see of Rey. She works really well with random light side characters out there, L-37, Vandor, Chewbacca, Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke, General Kenobi, the list goes on and on and on. And of course, Kylo We see he has, of course, synergy with the First Order, but because of his broad dark side synergies, we see he works very well with the Sith Empire, Darth Vader, Night Sisters, for example. And this kind of wiggles into the conversation as, well, is there any point of getting Rey and Kylo? And they kind of reemphasize that more or less all these Galactic Legends are going to be around the same power level. So if you're thinking that the next Galactic Legends are going to completely blow away the previous Galactic Legends, they're saying really don't expect it. So if you still want to go after Rey or Kylo, they're trying to keep the Galactic Legends at some sort of similar power level across the board.
A big part of these characters is obviously that for all these Galactic Legends, we want them to be around the same power level, right? So no matter which one you're unlocking here, you're not like, oh, I got Kylo and now these new ones are coming out and they're better or something like that. We want them to be generally in the same area of each other. So yeah, whichever one you decide to choose for, if you started now and like, oh, I can start going for one Galactic Legend. Well, I don't want to go for Rey and Kylo because I've got a lot of Jedi, for example. I really want to go for that. Or if I have a lot of Empire and Sith and that kind of stuff, like maybe I want to go for Palpatine, right? Like there's maybe some sort of like flavor that you can sort of pick from between each of them. And definitely it's about differentiating higher players roster with having one or two Galactic Legends that are like, okay, well, he's got this specific one and that means I have this kind of strategy around it, right? And really diversifying to that top end is definitely part of it. I think, eventually, like as you said, like years from now or a year from now, even like probably multiple people will start getting multiple Galactic Legends, and that will be sort of part of the meta in things like territory wars and stuff like that, right? Where you really care about having the Galactic Legends to fight other broad roster of Galactic Legends to fight another set. Another guild's worth of stuff, right? So I wanted to reiterate that like they're all around the same power level. Don't feel like you've missed out if you're still shooting for Rey and you're like, well, I'm so close to Rey, but I want to switch over to the new thing. Like you don't have to worry about that. Like Rey's going to be invalid or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, being a realist, it's not able to be executed perfectly. There's always going to be some character that's going to have the slight edge over the other. As we saw with Rey and Kylo, Rey had a superior advantage in PvP over Kylo, and of course, after Kylo got a little buff, some would argue that he has a bit more of an edge over Rey. I think Rey and Kylo are a lot more on par with each other right now, although Kylo is far superior in PvE, in my opinion. But just in general, they're trying to make sure Galactic Legends are within the same power structure, power alignment. But, I just from personal experience playing this game for 5 years, there's always going to be a little bit of an edge over some characters in certain game modes compared to others. Let's move on to the Galactic Challenges. Now, again, these changes, there was no post talking about what happened, but they talked about it in this podcast here. Again, I was expecting the community manager to go ahead and write up a summary of Mini State of the Galaxy just for September. He basically confirmed what we talked about in our video the other day when we saw the changes to the rewards and timing. We've already highlighted them. Basically, 3 days is what they're going to be kind of going with from here on out. The 7 days is not going to happen. They're not expecting to do 1 day, but they think 3 days is going to be a good idea in general for the general population. Let's go ahead and play that clip.
Yeah, we ended up shortening that to 3 days for all of these events going forward for now. I mean, again, the schedules may change, but the ones for this month are all 3 days. I think like we saw a good number of people come in at like days 2 and 3 actually on the event. Like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. Like, but I check in SWGoH every couple days. So I think like a 1 day event was probably too short, and even 2 days was pretty limiting. So we're going to try 3 days for a while. I think that's a pretty good compromise. I think that's enough time to really dive in if you want to or really challenge yourself, but it's also not going to be here for like a week. You're like, I've played this thing 1,000 times.
I'm more of an advocate for 2 days, but I could see the idea of a 3 day thing. Keep in mind, of course, you watching this video, most likely you log into the game every single day. You're doing all your dailies. You're being very active in your guild and in the game in general. But keep in mind, there's probably another couple 100,000 out there beyond just you guys who are watching this video that aren't as serious about Galaxy. They're playing it extremely passively. They just kind of sign in, do a couple of things, and maybe come back a day or two later. They're trying to keep that window open, so if you do come back later, there's something to do. And of course, there were changes and rewards. We broke it down the other day. Basically, they shaved off rewards from the top 2 tiers, but they really made the reward from tiers 1 through 5 absolutely fantastic. Kyrotech, stun guns, and good amount of shards, at least of resistance hero Poe for this past Galactic Challenges. So the rewards definitely got better, and they seem to think this is where they're going to be staying at in terms of the reward structure.
I think the rewards are probably the other really big part of this. We went really conservative with those rewards initially, just to like, hey, here's a test, let's see how it goes. Hopefully for this next set of ones, you'll see a lot better rewards. I think they're much better than they were previously. We're focused a lot more on like the core gear that people have been asking for. Obviously, there's like it's mixed between feats and in just completions, and that's and I know that's something that some people are frustrated about. We changed the faction feat to not require a tier basically or any sort of level other than you just need 5 of those characters. Obviously, like feats in general, like we want to keep mixing those up and make those more interesting. There's going to be some new ones this month as well in these, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes. We're going to keep adding them over time, as we release more and more of these. So more feats are coming, more diversity there to try and challenge you in your roster.
Now, I'm definitely a bigger fan of the reward system that is in place now compared to where it was before. Really, as I said, the only drawback when you're comparing the before and after is just those top 2 tiers. They got a big reduction in rewards, but when you look at tiers 5 through 1, they're looking pretty solid. So I would much rather take what we have here compared to what we had before. But of course, there's always room for improvement. We really want to kind of nitpick what can get better. And they also said that they're looking to add new Galactic Challenges on a monthly basis. Hoth and Coruscant are going to be coming around at some point. They didn't really seem to talk too much about difficulty changes. There's some controversy, or a conversation, I should say, but people think that the Galactic Challenges got more difficult. It's hard to say if it's just this Galactic Challenge right now against the Separatists that is extremely difficult, but people who normally were able to do tier 5s in the past said it's a little bit more difficult now with the current Galactic Challenge. So it's hard to say if difficulty increased. They didn't say anything about that. There's a conspiracy that because they're making their rewards more generous, they're making it more difficult to get a hold of. The new player, to get a lot of these characters, we're talking years of progress or a lot of money, and or both of those things combined right there. And the developers want to try to tackle, now that we have the journey guide, which gives you the information on what you need for certain characters, because before there really wasn't any guidance unless you look for a video or a random post on Reddit for a couple years ago. They're trying to find a way now to expedite the process and getting people, for example, Thrawn a lot faster.
That early journey, a huge thing that we're looking at right now, what those different paths to getting to like success in Galaxy Heroes has become a lot more complicated over the years, right? You said now you have Chewbacca, now you have Thrawn, but now you also have, a 3PO that down the line, if you decide to go Ewoks, it's like, okay, well now there's like all these kind of nested value, and for a new player, it's really complicated. But for someone who's been around this game for a while, it's like you're adding on a little avenue for them to go and try something new. Whereas for a new player, it's like there's just a zillion different paths for them to go now to start. So it's definitely something we're looking into, and we'll be probably talking about that more in the future when we have get closer to our next big release for our quarter, because I think early game is going to be a big part of the Galaxy Heroes future, just for the longevity of the game, right? Like if you give someone more shards, now they hit a wall of gear much faster. Because if I have twice as many shards, now the gear rate doesn't speed up, then what happens there?
They can make things get easier, but the problem is if you're getting characters faster, then the gear crunch is going to hit you a lot harder. So there's this balance between getting you the shards to unlock legendaries a lot faster, but also trying to ease up the gear crunch. But it's going to be interesting to see what they ultimately plan to do. They're planning something. They don't have final details in terms of what they're going to do, but really they're just trying to get people the characters a lot faster. And then lastly, they talk about how November is going to be a huge month, and they got plans to celebrate their 5th year anniversary.
This whole year's got to be pretty exciting for us. It's like our 5th anniversary. We've got a lot of big plans for that. That's going to be, obviously, November is going to just be a huge month for us. Star Wars is continuing on, so there's going to be so much more exciting stuff for Star Wars coming that we definitely want to tap into. We'll see what kind of things happen. I'm personally really excited for like the Kenobi stuff with Deborah Chow. Season 2's coming out as well. That I'm super excited for Mando Season 2. That's going to be awesome.
My gosh, November 2015 is when this game started up. I've been playing since very early December 2015, so 5 years I've been playing this game. It's crazy to think this game's been around so long. That's a really big feat for a mobile game. They have plans to probably do a big celebration, but I don't know if the huge month is just talking about the celebration. Maybe they're going to give out a nice batch rewards for supporting Galaxy of Heroes all these years, or if they're talking about something bigger. I don't think Galactic Legends, Luke and Palpatine are going to go into November, so it's either talking about the celebration stuff or there's going to be new characters, new game modes, or something of that sort. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get too hopeful for what's coming in November, of course. I'm hoping it's going to be really good, but we've been getting this can kicked down the road of oceans of new characters and content since way back late last year, beginning of this year, and so far we haven't really seen an ocean of much right now. Maybe November things will kick off there. It's hard to say, really. The only oceans we've had is the oceans of character requirements for Galactic Legends. That's going to be a summary of this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what your thoughts are down below of the Palpatine Luke hit teasers, as well as how would you guys out there like to make the progress easier as a new player, free-to-play player. Of course, they're not going to give you everything away for free. That would defeat their business model, but there are definitely plenty of ways to help you get those beginner characters a lot faster and to make some meaningful progress. You can try to catch up a little bit to at least the mid game. Like, comment down below on all your beautiful thoughts, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And Gary, Larry, and I will see you in the next video. Hit that outro.